Hey there guys, Guy with the Camera 23 and welcome to part 3 of 2014, A Kubrick Odyssey. So in this part I'm going to be focusing on Kubrick's first feature film from 1953, Fear and Desire. Now this is the Eureka Masters of Cinema release of Fear and Desire, which also included Day of the Fight, Flying Padre and The Seafarers. And yeah, very good Blu-ray. A really good interview with Bill Crone, which gives a lot of info on the film and also Kubrick himself. And yeah, very good set. I'll open it up as well. It's the one disc, then you get a nice thick booklet though. You can see that with a really cool shot of the cast and crew there from the film. Very nice indeed. Yeah, looks. In fact, it's going to look the best it's ever going to look. I mean, they got it. The print was lost years and years ago, and actually Kubrick famously kind of tried to find all the prints of this film and destroy them because he wasn't proud of it at all. He actually equated it to a children's drawing on a fridge, which I think is really really cool quote. But again, really nice Blu-ray and looks great. So yeah. So directed by, photographed by, and edited by Kubrick. Fear and Desire tells the story of 4 soldiers that are down behind enemy lines. There's no specific time or place in this film. In fact, you don't think it actually exists at all. And basically, along the way, they find basically the general that could, if they kill him, they could end the war. But basically, and along the way, they also capture a girl who they find and kind of capture to kind of stop her kind of giving their position away to the enemy. And really, really well shot. I mean, like I said, Kubrick kind of wanted to distance himself from this film. And I can see why. It's not his best film by any stretch of the imagination. It's a nice kind of time capsule kind of thing that you can go back. I mean, technically it is Kubrick's first feature film, even though it's like just over an hour and 1 minute. So you could argue that it is actually kind of a long, short film, if you like. But like I say, shot really well. There's a lot of really good stories behind this film. Basically, after Kubrick used to be a photographer for Look magazine, and he basically quit his job to make this film, and he also financed it by members of his family, mainly his kind of rich pharmacist uncle, and basically all the the financing came from family and friends, which is really kind of interesting. So the production team on this film was very, very small, only 15 people, including Kubrick himself, and also 4 Mexican labourers who helped kind of carry the equipment through these woods. And he had to improvise kind of his equipment. In fact, for a kind of like a fog machine, he used a crop sprayer, and when they were filming, the crew almost died because it still contained some of the kind of the insecticide that they were using. I don't know exactly what they were using it for, but to kind of combat the kind of infestation of the kind of the crops, and there was still kind of this stuff inside it, and it almost asphyxiated the cast and crew, which is really quite interesting. There's also a great story. Paul Mazursky, who's actually a prolific director now, said that there was no kind of dolly track, and what they did was they basically strapped the camera to a baby carriage. I mean, how resourceful is that? I don't know if they kind of actually just saw it on set or whether they actually brought it to the kind of the filming, but that is amazing, using a baby carriage for kind of like a camera track, which was really, I mean, really, really good stuff. There were quite a few kind of post-production problems with this film as well. Basically, when they filmed it with no sound, no music, no dialogue, and they were kind of going to dub the audio afterwards. But they run out of funds, so what they did, Kubrick took a second unit and went to film a TV movie on the life of Abraham Lincoln in order to secure funds to kind of put the film together, more or less. Really, really good, just amazing stories like that. Really kind of puts Kubrick ahead of all of the directors. It's just this man. Every film I watch of his, I just get excited to watch what comes next. You know, even in a film like this, it's got some pacing issues. It's got some editing issues. I don't know if the editing issues are kind of deliberate or kind of whether it's the work print that they used, kind of like maybe missing shots or something, but kind of choppy editing, like there's kind of cut like close-ups of people's faces, like this really cool scene where they come across these soldiers in this hut that are having some dinner, and basically there's kind of, they're going to the to this cabin, and they stab them with the bayonets, and it's all kind of insert shots, like there's like an insert shot of one of the guys kind of stabbing like that, and then there's just the kind of reaction shots to the soldiers. There's no blood or anything, and there's also a great shot where kind of this a soldier that just killed, and it's kind of, you can see his hand is just like this. It's just kind of like kind of scrabbling around. It's really, the thing about this film, it really is really well shot. I mean, the woods that kind of that the large majority of the film are set in look really good. There's another fantastic shot, or of a scene of one of the soldiers kind of rafting down the river, and it's all kind of it's like entirely cloaked in shadow. You can hardly see anything. It looks really, like I say, cinematography is fantastic, and yeah, pretty good. Like I say, it's not going to be considered Kubrick's best film. I mean, there are kind of inklings of his future directing style. You know, there's, like I say, the insert shots, like tracking shots, like I said, with the baby carriage. It's distinctly Kubrick. You know, you could maybe not someone who's kind of not really clued up on Kubrick would kind of know that it's directed by him, but it's got his stamp on it for sure. I know that for a fact. He had that kind of feeling of it kind of reminded me of a Twilight Zone episode, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. It gave this real kind of sense of kind of unease and kind of menace. You don't know kind of what's going to come next, which really it's really palpable in this film. Really comes through a lot. I mean, the film is clearly an allegory for kind of the futility of war and how it brings out the worst in people. Whether it manifests itself in different ways, whether that be kind of physically, with Paul Mazursky has a moment with this girl that they capture. Basically, she runs off and he kills her. And I mean, the men obviously go through kind of a transformation through this film. The thing that isn't great about the film is the kind of philosophical kind of elements of the film are quite clearly kind of signposted, like there's a neon sign saying this is an allegory, basically with the kind of the opening narration. And the film is narrated, it's kind of at the beginning and then at the end, and then there's some kind of you see or you hear the soldier's thoughts. And it's also kind of about man's inhumanity to man and how that manifests itself in different ways. And yeah, like I say, it's an interesting kind of like time capsule of a film. Like it's not great, it's just a little kind of oddity, I guess. But like I say, it's got a lot of kind of the Kubrick hallmarks. I mean, you could quite clearly tell that it's a Kubrick film, which is always good. And yeah, I enjoyed it. It's not going to be his best film by a long chalk, but yeah, it was good. I'm not going to be giving any of these films kind of ratings because there's not really much point. So yeah, I think that'll about do. So enjoyed it, not great, but it's pretty good. So yeah, that'll about do for this part. So thanks for joining, and I'll see you on the next part of 2014, A Kubrick Odyssey.